Well, this one caught me right off guard. I booted up Zombie Graveyard Simulator expecting another lazy indie asset flip, the sort of thing you regularly find at the bottom of the digital bargain bin, but instead it oozes charm like your mum's Tinder profile. It's got an addictive little gameplay loop that digs its claws in deep, and what started off as a cheeky little grave digging jaunt turned into a full-blown 8-hour session where I forgot to eat, drink or take my afternoon dump. While titles like Schedule 1 and Repo will be hogging the indie limelight this year, Zombie Graveyard Simulator might just be the sleeper's sleeper hit, the undead underdog you didn't know you needed. So put the kettle on, grab a cuppa and let's go 6 feet under in today's review. Full disclosure, before we dig too deep, I got this review code for free, but you know me by now, I'd rather wrestle a rotting corpse than sugarcoat my opinions for a cheap date. Now, Zombie Graveyard Simulator is very much a game of two halves. By day, you're the local graveyard manager, burying the dead, selling overpriced flowers to the grieving, and making sure the place looks less like a crack den and more like a peaceful place to rot. Honestly, that bit alone could have carried the game. It's surprisingly engaging. There's a morbid satisfaction in running a 5-star death pit. But where things really start twitching is when the sun sets, because at night, zombies attack your cemetery with the hopes of clawing out those that you've just buried, and that's when the tower defense aspect kicks in. You'll be rigging up turrets, laying down electric fencing and blasting your trusty shotgun, protecting all those that you just buried. What makes this loop so satisfying is the dependency between day and night. You rake in the cash from the day's morning masses and you spend it protecting their little relatives from getting eaten during the graveyard shift. It really is a wonderful back and forth play style. So let's dig into the daytime shenanigans. Each morning you clock in as your local death concierge, taking on jobs to bury the recently expired. You've got two options, burial or cremation. Cremation only unlocks once you buy out the right facility, but once it's up and running, it's a proper little gold mine. A quick toss in the fire, up they go in a puff, and you pocket the fee for doing so. Even better, you can then flog their urns for a bit of bonus cash, because nothing says capitalism like selling someone their nan back in a vase. Burials though are where the real meat of the game lies. You'll be digging graves, plonking down whatever headstone the family wants and supplying the flowers of their choice. This bit is more hands-on, but there is a sweet payoff. Every grave attracts daily mourners. That means regular footfall and, more importantly, regular income from the flowers. Grieving, it turns out, is recession proof, which is why you want to protect those little plots, because they give so much income. Protect the graves, protect the profits. But the graves ain't even your main cash cow. Once you unlock the flower shop, the real racket begins. Suddenly you're flogging overpriced bouquets like some mafia florist. Primrose, lilies, whatever flowery bollocks the mourners fancy, you'll sell it at a markup. Then comes the chapel, a lovely little building where people come to cry, reflect and unknowingly stuff your donation pot with cash. Eventually you'll unlock a chapel souvenir shop, because nothing says love in memory like a plastic crucifix. And all the while, you'll still be upgrading your operation. Fancy gravestones, bigger crematoriums, stronger water pumps to keep your stamina going, and yes, even your cemetery defences. And then there's the farm, tucked away in the back. Here you can grow food for buffs or flowers to fuel your overpriced florist empire, and that's where the real cash rolls in. Growing sadness in the morning, selling it by the stem in the afternoon. It sounds like a lot, and it is. But don't worry, you can hire staff to run the show. Grave diggers, rubbish collectors, flower sellers and gardeners. It all costs money for sure, but if you've played your cards right, you'll be rolling in enough money to keep everyone fully trained. Eventually the sun sets and the real fun begins. It's time to defend the dearly departed from the zombie influx. Nightfall turns your peaceful little graveyard into a full-on war zone. The game arms you well enough, mind. You've got fences to create choke points, Yes, that's what she said. Turrets that rain down hell, and enough firearms to make an American blush. Rifles, pistols, shotguns, even mods to make them a little nastier. Defences don't last forever though. They take a beating. Soon you'll have to upgrade them, starting with wooden panels and eventually slapping down electric fences to concrete walls. Zombies will either come straight for you or try and dig up your plots. So placement is key here. Get sloppy and you'll be overrun. There are a few zombie types on offer here too. Your standard shufflers, the gas spewing type that explode upon impact, the sprinting types, and finally the armoured bastards in full riot gear. I'll admit the enemy variation is a bit slim. Once you've got your defences maxed out, most of them pose about as much threat as a wet tissue. So far then, it's been praise all around, and rightly so. Like I said up top, I was glued to Zombie Graveyard Simulator for a solid 8 hours, and I had an absolute belter of a time. And yes, if you were even slightly glued to this video, give it a little like to help grow the channel. So all good on the game so far, but now comes the part where we have to tip the headstone and show the rot that is underneath, and that rot starts right around that 8 hour mark. You see, once you've unlocked everything, fortified your graveyard, and got a steady cash flow from mourners, the game starts to lose its pulse. The challenge drops off a cliff, and without anything new to strive for, you're left twiddling your thumbs wondering if you buried the fun along with the bodies. What it desperately needs then is more post-game content, new buildings, tougher zombie variants, maybe a boss fight with the Grim Reaper himself riding a lawnmower, something to shake things up. And then there's the staff. Watching them get stuck on gravestones or indeed the rubbish on the ground makes you question if you're managing a graveyard or a clown school. A patch here could sort it out, sure, but it does need sorting out as it can create lost days when you have so much to attend to. And once you've built it all, hired your dysfunctional team and got a decent flow of income, the whole thing turns into a bit of a logistics simulator. Just buying flowers, ammo and gravestones in bulk, shoving them in a storage unit and watching the magic happen as your staff distribute it all. At that point, it becomes more about inventory management than actual graveyard defences. Speaking of defence, the shooting mechanics are a bit meh, and whilst I accept it's a basic game, it's never going to excite you in ways that other shooters can. Then we come on to the visuals, and let's be honest, you know what to expect from an indie game like this. Yeah, it's basic. The animations are janky, the living look just as gormless as the dead, like they're 2 drinks away from joining them, but to be fair, I've seen far worse in games that dare charge AAA prices. It's never truly offensive to the eyeballs. Where this game shines isn't in realism, it's in charm. Every corpse you chuck into the soil comes with a name, a cause of death, where the mourners themselves offer up bizarre one-liners, and while they look like Sims left out in the sun too long, their presence adds some much needed personality. Stylistically, it's got a cartoony vibe, all bold colours and eye-searing vibrancy. Shadows and lighting are near non-existent, with most effects feeling like they've been slapped on with glue, but hey, they made the grass sway in the wind, and that is worth mentioning. Asset resolution, rough. Sometimes it's like staring at a JPEG from 2005, but for the most part, I didn't mind, especially when you hear what they are charging for this, which I'll cover off in the score. Now, sound-wise, honestly, I was more than satisfied. There's this little hum of electric guitar noodling in the background during the day, mellow, almost soothing, but once the sun drops and the dead get restless, the music cranks up just enough to get the blood flowing. You've got all the essential sound effects too, the clunk of turrets dropping into place, your footsteps loud and proud as you meander about, the ka-ching of mourners emptying their wallets, and the alarm clock that drags you back into another graveyard shift. None of it's groundbreaking, but it does the job. That said, my particular playthrough got hit with an audio bug from hell. At some point it sounded like a fighter jet was nosediving into my chapel, and the noise just wouldn't go away. A glitch, sure, and one that a patch should be able to sort out. Overall then, Zombie Graveyard Simulator turned out to be a proper surprise, a game that rose from the dirt and absolutely blew my expectations to pieces. Yeah, I've pointed out its faults, the dodgy pathfinding, the shallow endgame, the sound bug that nearly sent me to an early grave, but none of that changes the fact that those first 8 hours or so were an absolute blast. And here's the wildest bit of all, this thing costs $12. $4. That's the price of a pint in most of London. You'll get hours of solid entertainment here with charm, strategy and a whole lot of corpse chucking chaos. I can't recommend it enough, people. It of course doesn't get top scores because, well, that's an insult to, the likes of Expedition 33 and whatnot. But if you've got a soft spot for weird sims, tower defense, or just want to bury some strangers and sell flowers to their kids, then take the plunge. This is yet another feather in the cap for why indie games are so damn good. Sure, there's a lot of rot in the scene, but when the rot comes with grave digging and zombie munching and is as enjoyable as this one here, you really cannot go wrong. Until next time, my lovelies, Reggie out.